Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Meet the Actor interview. I'm again here with Josh Winch, who I was interviewing previously, but hey, the internet went down, so we're doing it all over again. So, your first question, because you haven't heard this before, is how did you first get into the profession?
Well, for those of you that will never see the original lost footage, I should start at the very beginning, which is when I was young. I was very uncoordinated, and my mother enrolled myself and my twin sister in ballet. And then the ballet instructor was like, "This is awesome. I have twins to work with." And that started my life in entertainment, being on stage. Stage is my first love. So years later, from the ballet experience, I ended up doing some theater. I never really thought that even, acting or filmmaking was a real profession. I grew up in the Midwest, and people had jobs like insurance salesman and banker and farmer. So Midwestern United States culture doesn't say things like you can make films.
Yeah.
It wasn't till much later, when I fell flat on my face as a theater actor, that acting in films became an idea. It was 1997. I was at a national theater competition, and they had a lot of great things to say about the cast. I was not one of the people that had a lot of great things to say about, but one of the judges said, "Hey man, you're not quite tall enough. Your voice isn't quite strong enough to be a stage actor. But I can tell you have talent. Go do film." So after a couple months of bad-mouthing that particular judge, I decided to look into film school. And, rather than continuing on with just strictly an emphasis in my education on acting, I did study acting, but I went to film school. And first we studied how to break down films, and then we learned how to put a film together.
Yeah.
And because my thought was, like the great stage actor Noel Coward, who was told that he wasn't that funny and he wasn't handsome enough to be a leading man, that Noel Coward wrote his own plays, and they were comedies, and he had great success, and he was a leading man. And I figured if Noel Coward could do it, well, I had a shot at trying to imitate Noel Coward. That's how I got into film.
Well, you already kind of went over this in the lost footage, as you put it, but we're going to ask this one again anyway. So, what was your first project? So, we'll say your first project that you did as maybe just outside of college, university, or whatever, and your first project that you kind of went, "Hey, I'm in this. You must watch this."
Oh, that was J. Mackenzie Roach's Street Creatures, and Street Creatures was a gangster film. And it was great. Jay, being a guy that thinks outside the box, he didn't want to typecast me as my mother's family's Italian, and he didn't want to typecast me as one of those mobsters. So he made me the guy that the enforcer for the mobsters instead of a mobster, and I really appreciate him for that. But no, I did that film, and it did a couple of like film festivals and stuff, and I think it got honorable mention at one, which not so bad for your first film kind of thing. But that was the first feature-length film I did, and it still still very proud of that work. That's if you listen to the interview we did and the discussion we had on the Meet the Filmmaker, that's where I got into the producing part, and that's where I got the advice of go do horror films.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I mean, that film right there changed my life. It made me believe that I could do this. It made me believe that I could find the right path. And even though it was a gangster film and I haven't played gangsters in anything but commercials since then,
Mm-hmm.
and I imagine there'll be a gangster role somewhere in a movie where somebody says, "Hey, Joshua Winch, that guy's right for that." But until that day, I've done a couple of commercials and that kind of thing, just cheesy things. That brought me into horror, and I've loved working in horror and what the horror community's done. After that, I got to do some exploitative horror.
Yep.
Sex Machine,
Mm-hmm.
retelling of Frankenstein with a lot of raunchy jokes and some graphic novel type color textures. And then after Sex Machine, I did Tale of the Voodoo Prostitute, and neither one of them are porno films. They're just good exploitative horror. And after you know after that, I got to do some more stuff, and did the Devil's Gravestone, which
Mm-hmm.
with J. Mackenzie Roach, worked with him again on that. And the Devil's Gravestone, uh, fantastic film noir style vampire story with El Lamont, who you can see as Screwhead in James Cameron's Alita Battle Angel movie.
Mm-hmm.
So that was good. It's been a good journey from those films. Got to do the Lake Fear series, the Anna series, Fall of Grace, which has won so many international awards. The last count's up to like 14 awards
Wow.
won at international film festivals. Uh, and that film was picked up by Sony for its international distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully people have seen it and will see it. And I don't even know where all it's available and who all can see it, but because in my mind, picked up by Sony means everybody in the world.
Yeah.
But I'm sure they have a little smaller plan for it. It's But they did pick up the U.S. rights are through E1 ITN Entertainment for distribution on Fall of Grace, but the international rights are Sony, and that means it could be anywhere and everybody can see it. And like I said, that film has won 14 awards. And
Yep.
I got to work with some really great people on that film. That was directed by Michael Crum, written by Gerald Crum. Gerald also acts in it. Worked with, horror scream queen Sherry Davis on that, and Shannon Snedden, Cassidy Kennedy. So many good people on that film, and it's an interesting, dark, twisty tale that, like I said, I mean, winning all those awards, it can't be that bad.
Nope.
I actually, that film right there, I've won 2 acting awards for that. I was one of them, I was up against Michael Pere, who did Streets of Fire and Eddie and the Cruisers. And Michael's still got a great career, don't get me wrong, but as a kid growing up, I watched him on the TV show Greatest American Hero, and I recently rewatched that on Netflix too. Or not Netflix, Amazon, sorry. I recently rewatched that on Amazon, and It's a great cheesy show. I'm surprised that hasn't been rebooted or revisited,
Yet.
but and it probably will be, yes. But watch Michael Pere on that, and then Streets of Fire and Eddie and the Cruisers and some of my favorite movies. And Michael Pere still has a great career. He's still making films to this day. Uh, the last film I know he did was a film called Mayday. Um, and I don't remember the name of the film that he was nominated for his role in up against me, because I was just kind of gobsmacked at the fact that I won Best Actor and Michael Pere came in second behind me. I mean, so that was really cool. And then that same film, Fall of Grace, there were two festivals back to back where I was nominated Best Actor against Billy Baldwin.
All right.
And Billy's had an incredible career, and he's part of the famous Baldwin brothers family, and one of the awards, Billy beat me, and I came in third, I believe. He was first and I was third. And then another one of the film festivals, I beat him, and it was like, it was switched. So I beat Billy Baldwin and Michael Pere for Best Actor from my role in Fall of Grace, which has been an absolutely fantastic journey. I never thought I'd be in that kind of company, and I finally impressed my mom with my acting because of that. Before she was like, you do little movies and I don't like horror. And now she's like, wow, that's wonderful. I know those actors that you beat in these, film festivals and won Best Actor award for.
Pretty cool. So you said in your filmmaking one, you've done it for about 20, pushing towards 20 years. So it's about the same for your acting then, isn't it? Roughly-ish.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you don't count the kids stuff on the stage, I'm sorry.
Carol. The other thing was just to mention what you've currently been working on, because for those who will never ever see the lost footage, the great lost footage that was the interview with Joshua Winch, it's somewhere in the ether, never to be seen. We will have to do this one again, I'm afraid. So do you want to tell people about Bad Folks and the infamous 1134, which is where we got cut off?
That is where we got cut off. I was talking about how right before the COVID shutdown, we were in negotiations to do a Lake Fear 4. And I absolutely love the character of Remington. And for anybody that's seen Lake Fear 3, I had to take off 40 pounds for that role. So I was, eating a very low-calorie diet and working out like 4 hours a day, so that I wasn't quite as big a guy as I normally am walking around on the street. Because in between Lake Fear 1 and Lake Fear 3, my character's trapped in a hell dimension. So, he's not sitting around, eating pizzas and hamburgers. He's fighting for his life in a hell dimension. Not a lot to eat, and you're constantly active. So anyway, we did that, and we were in negotiations for Lake Fear 4. And when the COVID shutdown happened, the studio decided that maybe we weren't going to move ahead with Lake Fear 4, which, if people want to, write the studio, if they want to contact, or just watch the Lake Fear series online and drive up the numbers to where the studio thinks maybe it's worth it, you guys go ahead. I mean, I feel like a change.org, petition is not out of the realm of possibilities to keep Lake Fear going. However, you guys do have to understand that you'd have to give me, 3 to 6 months to take weight off again, to get into the I've lost weight in a hell dimension shape. So Lake Fear 4 didn't happen, but I was in negotiations with the Crumb Brothers who did Lake Fear 3, not only to do Lake Fear 4, but another movie that they were working on called Seven Beasts. And Seven Beasts is about a woman basically doing boss battles through a hell dimensions, fighting these seven beasts to try to get her kid back. And I was going to be one of those seven beasts. And with studios shutting down and filming shutting down because of COVID, the Crumbs weren't able to move forward with that. So we got to talking, and I know Brad and Carrie Springs, who own Six Springs Tavern in Richardson, Texas. And I said, man, we've got this beautiful music venue, this bar that's shut down, but the owners will let us film there. Let's do a movie during that. And so we planned for a limited cast and crew with lots of sanitizers and masks and air cleaners and UV lights, and we did a film called Bad Folks, and that is being looked at by distributors right now, and hopefully will get released in the future, and you guys will get to see that. It's got an incredible cast. It was all done in that one location, and it was done safely. So hopefully that gets out there. I am going to film in the very near future on the Abelberry Jen Stone movie Strix.
Yep.
And then in negotiations for, actually I already signed on to Crave Roots of Evil, the vegetarian alien zombie, whatever the plants have. Anyway, they get their revenge on us for eating meat and them and abusing the earth is basically what it comes down to. So I don't know when filming starts back on that, but we should be picking that back up. And then there's 1134 with Felissa Rose and Sherry Davis and Pat Kusnati. There's somebody else or some other people I should mention, but there's people in that, and that's we're in negotiations right now to get that movie going, and hopefully, between the popularity of the past projects and people being locked down worldwide, COVID, and needing entertainment, please watch my movies for your entertainment during that time. You've watched everything else. You have nothing to lose. Hopefully with all that going on, as entertainment production ramps back up here in the US, that, we can get those movies going, and you'll be seeing them in the near future. I know that for those of you that are listening to this or watching this that have never worked in any kind of film production, it's one of these things where a movie gets made and then you never know what's going to happen. You can already have a distribution contract before you make the movie.
Yep.
And you still don't know when it will hit shelves or video on demand or streaming, as people a little younger than me call it. You don't know when you're going to have the option to watch it or where. And you might just be walking through, a place like Walmart or Tesco or Woolworths and go, oh, there's that movie, or there's my movie. So yes, those things happen quite regularly. Hopefully, though it won't happen. Hopefully, it won't happen with these movies I've mentioned. Hopefully, we'll have concrete dates where we get to tell you in the future when they come out.
Well, while you're just having your drink, your next question is a bit similar to what you had in the filmmaking one. So in the filmmaking one, you gave people that wanted to get into the behind the scenes part of the filmmaking, very valuable advice. So now it's your turn to do it for people who want to be in front of the camera. So this is giving people advice that want to get into the film industry as an actor.
Well, I think that most actors will tell you to take classes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's true. Acting classes are invaluable. But I'm also going to tell you to take psychology classes. If you don't understand why people act the way they do, you need to find out why.
Mm-hmm.
You need to find out what motivates people. And, you know, you'll hear people say things like method actors, where people try to live their character.
Yep.
Well, those people, without knowing it, are trying to figure out the psychology of their character. The old actor saying, "What's my motivation?" And the old joke is the director says, "Your paycheck." Now, the motivation is the psychology behind it. So take your acting classes, take your psychology classes. But the most important thing is sort of like when you're standing on a cliff and all your friends are diving and they're telling you it's safe, but you're just looking at that 100-meter drop,
yep,
thinking, man, if I fall wrong, I'm going to break my leg, or maybe even worse, my neck. And you're watching everybody splash and have fun, and they're telling you it's great, but you don't want to take that step off. The most important thing is take the step, because fear and insecurity will kill you. I've done hundreds of auditions to get dozens of parts.
Yep.
And you know, you can go out to the pub and you can see an attractive person across the way and you can think, I'd sure like to talk to them, and you can sip your beer and go home alone, or you can go talk to them. It's the same thing with acting. And you want to do it, you have to be ready to get rejected, and get rejected a lot. And you have to be afraid all the time. You don't have to, you just will be. I mean, it's part of it. I've had some of the greatest auditions of my life not amount to anything at all. And I've had some of the worst auditions get me roles. And I've gotten lucky enough with nearly 20 years under my belt now that I only audition about half the time anymore. People call me up. They do offer me roles. It's not like Hollywood's calling me up and offering me $1 million roles, and I'm not in the next Marvel movie, but indie filmmakers worldwide know me.
Yeah.
And I have a fairly good reputation for being easy to work with and being helpful, because of the fact that I was willing to get rejected for 20 years. So get out there, get your rejections, do the best work you can, be the most accommodating person you can, be generous and kind, and, you know, don't complain about getting there early. Don't complain about being there late. Don't complain that this is the third day on the road in a row on set that you had to eat cold pizza from the bargain pizza shop down the street because these guys didn't have money. Just pack some granola bars, you know, in your bag, and so that you have a little something more to eat along the way, and be ready to take your lumps and take your rejections.
Yep.
And always stay positive.
Mm-hmm. Seems perfectly sound advice, especially the granola part bit, because you definitely need to take more food with you when you go onto a film set.
Oh yeah, I mean, especially indie sets. I mean, I have been on major sets. I did a film with Danny Glover, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, and that film and Danny Glover's a huge star. So
Yeah.
it doesn't, that film, when my personal assigned PA for the day said to me, "Can I get you anything?" And I said, "I'd love a coffee." That film had a little trolley come by with a whole coffee shop on it. And I'm not joking. This woman comes by and she's pushing this trolley with an espresso machine and all these different flavors and different things. And she says, "I was told you wanted a coffee, Mr. Winch. What can I get for you?" And I said, "Coffee."
Just
And
coffee.
she said, "What kind of coffee would you like?" And I said, "Black in a cup, please."
That's what I'm like in coffee shops. You're looking at the board and they're going, "Which one do you want?" It's that answer. I just want a coffee in a cup. I don't want a fancy one.
And so they that production had the budget to have somebody there to make fancy coffees.
Yeah.
There was a man making hand-squeezed lemonade for Danny Glover. And Danny Glover was telling me it was the greatest lemonade in the world. And I'm not quite a fan of lemonade. So I lied to Danny Glover when he asked me if I liked lemonade. I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Glover. Who doesn't like lemonade?" And he said, "Oh, just call me Danny." So now we're like best buds because we're on a first name basis.
Mm-hmm.
And he
bonded
went
over lemonade.
And he went and got me a lemonade because he wanted to share how good this hand squeezed lemonade was. And it was light and it was tart, but it was a little too sweet, and that's just not my thing. But I appreciated it, and we bonded over lemonade. Now, when you are on an independent film set, you are very lucky that there is going to be a variety bag of potato crisps from that doesn't have a brand name on them. You're used to your brand names that you buy at home. This is going to be the store name. It's going to be Aldi's. It's going to be something that that they could buy in bulk very cheaply, and you'll be lucky if there's one, variety bag there for an entire week of filming, which means by the end of the week, somebody has to eat the pretzels.
Yep.
There's not a lot of food. There's not a lot of water, but you can still make the best of it, and you can still plan for it. The times I've been in a producer's role, I know that because of my experience of being on sets. And let me tell you about a film I did called Third Reichenstein real quick. Third Reichenstein, and I know that I told you that I matured past exploitation films. I didn't really. A guy was doing a film for Troma called Third Reichenstein, which has yet to be released, and he asked me to be in it. And he wanted me to dress like Sylvester Stallone from the movie Cobra.
All right.
And he wanted me to play the cop character that he likened to Loomis from Friday the 13th, which, by the way, this cop was nothing like that. So when he pitched this to me, I'm like, "I'm in, send me the contract." And then I got the script and was like, "Oh man, I should have read the script first." That being said, still great fun, but it was a low budget film for Troma Entertainment. And I showed up on set, and they had one case of the small bottles, like the 8-ounce bottles of water, one case for all 16 people, cast and crew. One case of water. We were on a location that didn't have plumbing. So there's no restrooms of any kind. There's no place to wash your hands. There's 24 small bottles of water, one large family-sized bag of Lay's potato chips, There weren't bowls, there weren't rubber or plastic gloves or any way to portion that. It was just, hey, if you want a snack, stick your hand in this communal bag of potato chips. There was that one case of water. There were 2 6-packs of 8-ounce cans of soda. So there were 7 Up and I think Dr. Pepper, and they were the, very small cans of that. And that was the supplies that the film crew brought for us for a scheduled 12-hour day.
Yeah.
So we filmed, and then we took a lunch break where somebody had to drive a half-hour away to get pizza. Now, remember, there were 16-ish people on set for the day, and the person that came back with the pizza came back with 4 pizzas for all of us. And the director took one for himself. It was like, hey, this one's mine. The rest of you guys can split that up.
Nice.
So we did. And we went back to filming. That movie's still in post-production. It was a horrible experience. Luckily for me, I had been on, and it wasn't actually, it was great people on the set. It was a horrible experience as far as pleasantries and amenities and, food and drink. But having been in this situation before, with my experience, I had an ice chest in the trunk of my car filled with cold drinks for people, and I bought several snacks, and we made the best of the day. Had I not been there, those people wouldn't have had nearly as good a time in between their shots.
Well, on the plus side, I mean, you all had something to eat eventually, but you can say you've worked on a Troma film.
I can. Well, I don't know that I can yet. I mean, I have to wait. I'm waiting till its release. Troma Entertainment, and that's part of why I did it. Troma's been such a big part of the B horror film world. Excuse me, not COVID. Just allergies.
Disclaimer.
Not COVID, just allergies. As many films as I've done, and as much as I've done in the B world, I haven't done a Troma film. So when I was given the opportunity to do this, I really wanted to, because it won't be a film that really wins awards. It won't be a film that gets me acclimates or accolades or whatever. But what it will do is allow me to say, yeah, those guys, yeah, I worked on one of their films. I did one of those schlocky, cheesy, B horror films that, for whatever reason, as bad as they are, everyone always seems to love. And, Troma is, the reason why a lot of filmmakers have made films. And it's not just people like James Gunn who got their start doing those kind of films. There are a lot of people that were sitting at home watching late night television and a Troma film came on and they said, well, if those guys can make a film, so can I.
Wow. It's a good thing to eventually just kind of go, if just dropping the name Troma, you're going to have people coming around you and going, oh, you work for Troma. Oh, you can be in my film then, because obviously Troma is such a big thing now, just as just its name, really, its brand. Just by saying that, you might get more attention. So now it's the one you're looking forward to. It's time to promote yourself.
Well, I still, and I said this earlier, guys, go out, watch the Lake Fear series, start that, change.org petition to get more Lake Fear. And reach out to me. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. Usually my tweets are dry and they involve something like, hey, Burger King, how about this for a new flavor of croissant? Which, I personally, I think Burger King's missing the boat on that. And I realize they're Burger King and not Croissant King, but really sell those things all day long. Let's face it, it's on a croissant. Everything's better on a croissant. You guys sell more of those croissantwiches, open up their hours, make it, I don't want to just go there during breakfast time for a delicious sandwich on a croissant. I would eat a whole lot more fast food and junk food if it were on croissants. Just throwing that one out there. So, reach out to me on Twitter, reach out to me on Facebook, follow me around a local shopping mall if you see me once all these restrictions are lifted.
Well, you say that, then you'll get restrictions on other people instead, then, because they're following you around too much.
Well, we'll find out. I just make sure it's socially distanced. But you guys, come within 6 feet of me, but not more than that or less than that. Just 6 safe feet. Say hi. Follow me around. Let's talk. I've got a couple of conventions coming up as long as the world stays healthy and safe and we can figure out these protocols. Those are in September. I will be doing the Houston Horror Film Festival and Texas Frightmare Weekend. And now that I said those in that order, I have to tell you Texas Frightmare Weekend is the weekend before Houston Horror. So I said those in the wrong order, but definitely if you are in Dallas or Houston, Texas, come drop by. Come see me. While more famous people than me will be charging you for autographs, I will literally sign anything for free, even if it's not my work. Please bring somebody else's DVD. I will sign it. If you would like to buy something from me, I would love that. It keeps me going. If you would like to donate to future films that I'm developing, please do that. If you would like to spin a prize wheel, I've always had this idea of being a game show host. I really would love to do it and think that it's fantastic. So I bought this prize wheel for my upcoming conventions, and while very respected actors will be shaking hands, taking pictures, and signing things, I'll be doing that stuff too. But if you want to put $5 in the till and put a $5 in, spin the wheel, we can live out my game show host fantasy, and you can win a prize.
What's the prize? What's the prizes? Have you sorted that bit out?
Yeah, I have. I reached out to several distributors I've worked with and gotten a lot of DVDs. And I've gotten posters of my work and T-shirts with the posters of my work printed on them, and horror-related candies and patches to be sewn on jackets. So you could win a plethora of things or, one thing. Obviously, it's all going to involve me except for the horror-related candies. There's a Spanish candy company that does gummies that are like brains and fingers stuff. So I bought a whole bunch of those to add to the prize packages because let's face it, you'd love to win an autographed Fall of Grace DVD, but wouldn't it be better with some candy too? So that's why I did that.
So basically, anybody comes to your table at the convention, nobody's going empty-handed.
Nobody's going empty-handed, and that's one of the things that I've made sure to do in the past, my convention experiences. There is a video chain in the United States called Family Video.
Yeah.
And Family Video has carried a lot of independently released films. And I've been able to buy in bulk when they stopped keeping my films on their shelves. Been able to buy in bulk their, copies. And that has allowed me to, if you come up in the past, if you came up to my booth and said, "Hey man, I really like your work, but I spent all of it, getting all my money getting Robert Englund's autograph, but I just wanted to come by and say hi," I could pull out this used copy that I picked out for a couple of dollars and, autograph it and hand it to somebody. And I keep those under the table. Those aren't display models. And they are limited quantity, but nobody's ever gone away empty-handed from one of my booths before. And like I said, my future plans are to not only have my merchandise, but to make it a little bit more fun. Because if you come up to me at a convention, it's probably because you know of my work and know who I am. But also, it means a lot to me because I'm not Robert Englund. I haven't had the success that Bruce Campbell's had, nor the chin. But it's an honor for me to be at these conventions with these gentlemen that are legends and icons in the industry. And so for those people that want my stuff, it's nice to shake my hand and say hi, or in the age of COVID, do an elbow bump. I think that's the new thing right now, elbow bumps. So it's nice to do that stuff, or to get a photograph of us together. But I'm a little bit extra and I like to go over the top. And that's why this year we are incorporating a prize wheel. You can win a shirt, a DVD, a poster. You might win all of it. And we're not going to have pricing charts like, Doug Bradley has. And yes, I know he's Pinhead, guys, but, I was Remington. It's not nearly as famous, but it is part of a series. We're not going to have pricing charts where it's, hey, $10 for an autographed picture, $25 for an autographed picture, and a picture of me kind of thing. We're not going to do those kind of things. We're going to just, we're going to make it, as much fun as possible. And if the person at the booth next to me doesn't show up, I'm going to take their booth over and I'm going to make the game show just go even bigger. Because that's who I am.
Well, I'm going to say thank you for your time, for coming on to these interviews. And anybody who's watching this and goes to Texas, Houston, wherever these conventions are, wherever Josh goes to go make some conventions, can you film some stuff so we can see what his magical prize wheel looks like? So there you go. Something to look forward to now.
Now I'm going to have to add glitter because you said magical prize wheel.
Oh, yeah,
it's
sorry.
It's just a regular prize wheel before, but...
sorry, my bad.
It's okay. It's okay. We can add glitter.
I know. So your autographs are now $15 because of the glitter.
Ow. Glitter's cheap.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.